Wow, gang, that was quite the season ender. Well, as we all know, uh, Pike's girlfriend, Captain Battel, was on a mission and they couldn't go on their away trip. Uh, the mission is at a colony just outside Federation space, and Chapel is helping the doctor she's doing her thing with that she left the Enterprise for. That's kind of important because but the thing that Chapel does with this other doctor is because that gets referenced back in the original series. She'd had an affair with this man, and you remember the episode had Ted Cassidy as a giant android, and they made a duplicate of Kirk. You remember that one. Anyway, she's talking to Pike, or Battel's talking to Pike when the call cuts out. All the communication is cut out. And they look up, and in a shot they swiped from Independence Day, this huge ship comes in. They do manage, her ship does manage to get a distress call out just before it is shot to pieces. It's the Gorn. You remember them from Marina? The lizard thing? They had a big episode with them last season where the CGI work made them really scary. Well, those were just the babies. Anyway, Pike gets the distress call, and they warp 9 to the area where they see the ship is blown apart. Could be survivors on the ground. But before they can even think of doing anything, they get a message from Starfleet. The Gorn has sent a message. That colony was in their space, not Federation. And they have a little thing where they show the demarcation line. You can't cross, or that'll be war. So, of course, Pike follows orders and does nothing. No, of course not. But because this isn't sanctioned, he can only take volunteers. Now, Spock and Una want to go, but he needs them on board just in case. But he needs a good pilot. So Ortega finally gets her away mission. Yeah. He also takes Sam Kirk, because you need a Kirk, apparently. And he takes Dr. Mbinga, and of course, Leanne. She's fought she's fought the Gorn personally. Big asset there. So, disguised as a piece of debris. Oh, they make a zombie movie joke there with between Una and Spock. You know, where it's like, what's a zombie movie? Well, you've seen a zombie movie, haven't you? Well, I've seen a movie, but I've never seen a zombie. Anywho, suddenly this thing turns into a knockoff of Aliens, because they've got the bumpity descent down where Ortez is trying to act like a piece of debris just falling out of orbit. And they get some good back and forth about, how many jumps have you made? But they make it, and the place is devastated. Oh, they've been given new advanced weapons. They look like the ones that got introduced, I believe, in Star Trek V. Anyway, they get down there where, after some little skirmishes with some of the youngling Gorn, they get a signal. They're survivors. They go, boom, step into a trap. And who should jump out but a young Lieutenant Montgomery Scott, who's kind of upset. They're not Gorn. Then after he lets them out, he leads them to where the other survivors are. Now, how Scotty got there, because he was on a station that was observing a star. They were attacked. He kind of jerry-rigged the engine to go faster in a shuttle and shot down to the planet. Well, while they're there, they tells okay, she's alive. She's upset that Pike would come for her, but they'll settle that later. Right now, they've got to figure out how to knock out the machine that is jamming all communications. Now, Scott knows the building it's in, but they're going to need some material. So he, Battel, and Pike head out to that ship, to I think it's his shuttle, to get material. Or, well, it doesn't matter. Meanwhile, up on the Enterprise, Uhura and Pela have figured out that if they take the big saucer dish that's still fairly intact from the debris of the ship that was destroyed and kind of maneuver it like it's fallen out of orbit, they can kind of guide it to hit where the they've triangulated where that signal's from and blow it up, and it won't look like the Federation interfered at all. Well, someone's going to have to zip over there in a suit and place rockets on it. And Spock insists he is the only one that can. And Una, who actually could do it too since she's augmented, doesn't argue. She knows he's upset because Chapel could be dead. So she lets him go do it. Now, Chapel isn't dead. She wakes up on the saucer section. And she manages to get the life support to work for another hour. Then, she finds a flashlight. When she sees the Enterprise, she starts to try to signal it with the flashlight, but the batteries go out. At that point, she sees Spock go by. She tries to signal him, but he doesn't see it. So she grabs a suit and heads for an airlock where she finds there's a Gorn on board. And we see our first full-size adult Gorn, and they are terrifying. No, she manages to sneak by and get to an airlock. Meanwhile, Spock has placed all the rockets, and he looks up, and in a reflection off of one of the portholes, tail comes down behind him. And before he can pull his phaser, he and the Gorn are getting into an attack, and the Gorn is trying to crush his faceplate so that he'll be exposed to the vacuum of space. Spock had pulled his phaser, but it got knocked out of his hand, and as it floats by, Chapel manages to hook her foot on a piece of debris and stretch to grab it, and she shoots the Gorn with it. But this isn't that new weapon they had, which does a pretty good job, that they got down on the planet. It's the old phaser, the regular one. But it does distract him enough for Spock to grab up a sharp object, rip it off the side of the ship, and smash the Gorn's faceplate, and he's exposed to the vacuum of space and dies. Which is odd because back last season, they said they could survive in the vacuum. Who's going to argue with that? Anyway, rockets are set. Chapel and Spock go straight up off the saucer section and head back to the Enterprise. Slowly. Down on the planet. While cobbling together material that they're going to need, there's a Gorn on the ship. And as it goes to attack, Battel steps in front of it, and it looks at her in another swipe from Alien, this time Alien 3. Where it's just looking at her, and he's, in the face and everything. And then it leaves. Why does it leave? Well, Battel shows him her arm. She's been infected with eggs. They're going to grow until they're ready to burst out, and then she'll die. Not no time to deal with that, though, because there's a saucer-shaped disc coming down towards them. So they hit the deck. Boom! Machine's destroyed. Communication is back. Transporter's back. Spock hails them. 2 to beam aboard. Oh, they're so thrilled. They beam him and Chapel aboard. They contact Pike. They get those 3 beamed aboard direct to sickbay. And then they make plans to beam up the survivors. There's a couple hundred. And Sam Kirk and Leanne, they're waiting, they're ready, and they get beamed out of there. Battel is put in stasis until they can figure out what to do. And then, just so we think, this episode's got to be over, it's going to be great. They weren't the ones that beamed up the survivors. Leanne, Kirk, and the rest, they got beamed up on the Gorn ship. And the Gorn has released fighters. And Pike gets a message from Starfleet Command. Leave the area. Pike is a little torn. You can see we can't leave the survivors, but I can't. I'm being attacked, and to be continued. I wouldn't mind so much, but we're in the middle of a major strike in Hollywood. It could be 2025 before we get to the next season. If we get a next season, who knows how this is going to play out that way. But boy, as season enders go, this one is right up there with the Next Generation season ender where Picard became Locutus. Resistance is futile. Yeah, boy, a lot of action. Although, sadly, Ortiz didn't get to do much except pilot the shuttlecraft down. Of course, now she's on a Gorn ship with Kirk and Leanne, and we know Kirk is going to survive because he doesn't die until James T is on the Enterprise, and he's in another colony with a family that. I don't know if you remember that episode or not. Shatner got to play a dead body with a mustache to show it was his brother. It was one with the little bat things that would attach themselves to your back. I don't know if you remember that, but yeah, really good episode, exciting. I kind of like the swipes from Aliens, because if you're going to swipe from a great film, and it works. Because these are characters we've come to care about. But even though we knew the romance between Pike and Battel would not last, because we all know his future. Even he knows his future. But we didn't think she was going to die. She might not. She might be the first to survive being used as a hatchery. You don't know. But right now, it's not looking good. And yeah, this is like the Kobayashi Maru, the no-win situation for Pike. What does he do? How does he figure a way around all this? I mean, we all know Kirk doesn't believe in the no-win situation, but we've never seen Pike in this kind of a dilemma. So, yeah, looking forward to whenever the 3rd season comes, because this was a great episode. Good action. Oh my God, the gore. The Gorn do not mess around. You see bits hanging off things and blood splattered everywhere. Ugh, nasty. But yeah, good season ender. Good episode overall. one of the best of the series, I think. Well, until next time, please hit like, share, and subscribe.